Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're breaking down the actual biological and psychological hacks to stop procrastinating and start winning the game of life. If you've ever felt completely stuck in a rut or you just can't bring yourself to start that massive project hanging over your head, well, you're in the right place. We are going to map out exactly how to rewire your daily habits and take back your time.
Look, let's just dive right in and honestly call you out for a second. If you're watching this explainer right now just to avoid doing your actual work, putting off your homework, ignoring your messy room, or suddenly deciding your sneaker collection needs to be reorganized by color instead of hitting the gym, you are trapped in a modern procrastination loop. We've got to acknowledge exactly what's happening right now so we can break the cycle.
It's kind of the ultimate irony of our era, isn't it? We live in a time where food that historically took hours of intense, grueling labor to get can now be dropped at your doorstep in under 30 minutes. Thanks to all these modern conveniences, we literally have more free time than any generation in human history. Yet, the sad reality, the vast majority of us completely waste it.
Section 1. Hacking your brain's chemistry.
So here's the thing. Constantly medicating yourself with instant gratification totally hijacks your brain. With all this unprecedented free time, it's so incredibly easy to just default to TV, gaming consoles, alcohol, or mindless doom scrolling just to burn hours. But listen, this is a massive trap that completely destroys your dopamine baseline. When you flood your brain with cheap, easy dopamine from these traps, doing actual, meaningful hard work feels biologically impossible. It's literally like trying to force yourself to eat raw broccoli right after downing a whole gallon of ice cream. Your brain just won't want it. To beat procrastination, you have absolutely got to cut out these cheap distractions so your brain actually craves the reward of pursuing real goals again. Now, to bypass that paralyzed, totally overwhelmed feeling of, say, writing a 10-page paper or cleaning your entire house, we use the 5-minute rule. Step 1. You commit to working on the task for exactly 5 minutes. That's it, and then you give yourself full permission to quit. Step 2. Because 5 minutes is such a wildly low hurdle, your brain drops its massive wall of resistance. And step 3, once you take action, momentum takes over. You know the saying, an object in motion stays in motion? It's true. You almost always just keep going. And that leads us to something super fascinating called the Zeigarnik Effect. This is a psychological principle that says incomplete tasks naturally stick in our minds and cause us this underlying nagging stress. Have you ever heard a really catchy song but couldn't remember how it ended and it just bothered you all day long? Yeah, that is the Zeigarnik Effect, and we can actually weaponize this to our advantage. By forcing yourself to do one tiny, ridiculously simple part of a project, like just opening a blank document and typing out the title, you create a psychological itch. You'll actually feel slightly stressed until you go back and finish the rest of the task. It organically pulls you away from distractions. Section 2. Building energy and focus. On the surface, sitting down and doing literally nothing for 10 minutes a day probably seems like a massive waste of time, right? But underneath, daily meditation is essentially a gym workout for your focus. Neuroscience actually shows that just a few weeks of consistent meditation physically thickens your prefrontal cortex. That's the exact part of your brain responsible for discipline and decision-making. You're actively training your brain to decide which thoughts to hold on to and which to let go of. Just 10 minutes a day builds the mental armor you need to dismiss that sudden urge to slack off and forcefully direct your focus back onto your work. But hey, mental endurance? That's really only half the battle. A massive reason people procrastinate is simply a total lack of physical energy. If you are perpetually exhausted, you'll effortlessly default to passive stuff like Netflix, just because your body literally doesn't have the fuel for anything else. Building up your physical baseline by working out gives your body the vital energy it needs to function properly all day. Whether that's lifting weights or doing cardio just a few days a week, making this investment gives you the sheer physical stamina to get off the couch and actually get stuff done. Section 3. Removing the confusion barrier. You know, a major hidden cause of putting things off is just honestly having no clue where to start. Think about it. So much of what we learned in school is totally outdated now, and crucial life skills like managing your finances, building social skills, or keeping up your fitness were completely left out of the classroom. When we lack a clear instruction manual, we stall out. So what's the fix? Build your own real-life instruction manual. Reading just 3 practical self-development books on any given subject is literally all it takes to remove that confusion. It makes you an expert and provides the immediate practical knowledge you need to confidently take action, instead of just putting things off indefinitely. Section 4. The final step? Execution. As the quote goes, execution is everything. Look, you can lay in bed all night binging productivity explainers like this one, wishing you had a better work ethic. But unless you actually step up and do the work, absolutely nothing changes. Right now, you possess the entire psychological toolkit. You've got the dopamine hacks, the 5-minute rule, the Zeigarnik Effect, and a blueprint for mental and physical endurance. But all of that knowledge, it's only potential power. Execution is what actually creates your reality. So that brings us to the only question that matters right now. What are you going to execute today? I want to challenge you to close this app the absolute second we finish, go attack your goals, and leave a comment later about what you actually achieved. Are you going to let your unprecedented modern free time slip away into a void of cheap distractions? Or are you finally going to step up, hack your habits, and win the game of life? The clock starts now.